My sister-in-law's Christmas invite came with a smirk I should have trusted. "Bring your appetite and your humility," she texted, and I laughed it off. Big mistake. I'm Jake, 34, a graphic designer with a decent life in Chicago. Not rich, but comfortable. Not perfect, but trying. My brother Tom married Vanessa 5 years ago. And let's just say she's the kind of person who'd alphabetize your spice rack and then charge you for the privilege. She's all sharp edges and sharper words, always hosting these over-the-top family gatherings to flex her domestic goddess status. Tom, bless his heart, is a human golden retriever, oblivious to her schemes. When she invited me to her annual Christmas dinner, I figured it'd be the usual too much wine, awkward small talk, and her subtle jabs at my bachelor lifestyle. I wasn't ready for the ambush. The night started innocently enough. Their suburban house glowed like a Hallmark card, all twinkling lights and wreaths. I arrived with a bottle of Merlot and my best fake smile, already bracing for Vanessa's commentary. The dining room was a masterpiece, candles flickering, a turkey the size of a toddler, and a table set for 12. The guest list was a mix: Tom's old college buddy Mike, who was already tipsy; Vanessa's uptight parents, who eyed me like I'd stolen their silver; her cousin Lena, a sweet but quiet nurse; and a few neighbors I didn't know, all dressed like they were auditioning for a country club. Vanessa greeted me with a hug that felt more like a pat-down. "Jake, you made it." No plus one again. Her smile was syrupy, her eyes glinting with something I couldn't place. I shrugged it off, took my seat, and tried to blend in. The first hour was fine small talk about jobs, the weather, and how taxing it was to host. Tom carved the turkey, grinning like a kid, while Vanessa played queen, directing everyone to pass the mashed potatoes. Then came the toast. Vanessa stood, glass raised, her red dress catching the candlelight. "To family," she said, her voice warm but pointed, "and to those who need a little humbling." Everyone chuckled, thinking it was a joke. I felt a prickle on my neck. She locked eyes with me, and I swear the room got colder. "Jake," she said, still smiling, "we have a tradition tonight. To join this table, you need to show gratitude. On your knees." The room went silent. My fork froze halfway to my mouth. Tom laughed nervously, thinking it was a gag, but Vanessa's stare didn't waver. "Go on," she said, her tone now icy. "Kneel and thank me for this meal, for this family, for everything I do to keep it together." I blinked, waiting for the punchline. None came. Mike snorted into his wine. Vanessa's mom nodded approvingly, and Lena looked like she wanted to vanish. I glanced at Tom, hoping for backup, but he just stared at his plate, his grin gone. "Vanessa, what is this?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. "It's simple," she said, leaning forward. "You waltz in here, year after year, with your cheap wine and your smug independence, acting like you're above us. Tonight, you show some respect." My face burned. Respect. This was a power trip, plain and simple. I could feel every eye on me, some amused, some horrified. I wanted to flip the table and storm out, tell her where she could shove her turkey. But then I saw Tom, his shoulders slumped, avoiding my gaze. He was stuck in her orbit, and somehow, this moment was about more than me. "Fine," I said, my voice tight. I pushed my chair back, dropped to one knee, then two, the hardwood cold against my jeans. The room held its breath. "Thank you, Vanessa," I said, each word tasting like ash, "for the meal, for everything." She clapped, slow and deliberate. "Good boy," she said, and the neighbors laughed. Mike raised his glass, smirking. Lena looked away, her hands twisting in her lap. Tom finally met my eyes, his expression a mix of guilt and relief, like I'd taken a bullet for him. I stood, my knees aching, my pride in shreds. The dinner went on, but the air was thick with tension. Vanessa kept up her hostess act, all smiles and charm, but I caught her watching me, testing me. I ate in silence, the food tasteless, my mind racing, Why this public shaming? Was it just her ego, or was there something deeper? As dessert was served some over-the-top peppermint mousse, I started piecing it together. Vanessa had always resented me, the brother who didn't fit her mold of family. I was the one who called out her passive-aggressive digs, who didn't play along with her perfect wife narrative. Last Christmas, I'd made a snarky comment about her Pinterest empire, and she'd gone quiet, her smile tight. This wasn't about gratitude. It was payback. But there was more. Tom had been distant lately, canceling our usual beers, dodging my calls. I'd chalked it up to his new job. But now I wondered, was Vanessa tightening her grip, isolating him? Was this her way of marking territory, showing me and everyone else who was in charge? After dinner, I cornered Tom in the kitchen, where he was rinsing dishes like his life depended on it. What the hell was that? I hissed. He wouldn't look at me. She's just intense, he mumbled. She means well. Jake, she's under a lot of pressure. Pressure, I snapped. She humiliated me in front of everyone. He sighed, scrubbing a plate harder than necessary. She thinks you judge her. You know, the way you talk about being single, free, whatever. It gets to her. She feels like you're looking down on us. I stared at him, floored. Tom, I don't judge you. I just don't get why you let her run you like this. He flinched, and I regretted it instantly. It's not that simple, he said quietly. She's my wife. She holds this family together. You don't see the half of it. I wanted to shake him, to yell that this wasn't a family, it was a dictatorship. But his eyes were tired, almost defeated, and I realized he was as trapped as I'd felt on my knees. The rest of the night was a blur. I made polite excuses, grabbed my coat, and left before the carols started. Outside, the snow was falling harder, blanketing the street in silence. I stood by my car, replaying the night, the sting of humiliation mixing with anger and something else, pity. Not just for Tom, but for Vanessa too. What kind of insecurity drove someone to orchestrate a scene like that? Driving home, I thought about family, about the ties that bind and sometimes choke. I'd always seen myself as the free one, the guy who didn't need the picket fence or the holiday newsletter. But maybe Vanessa was right about one thing: I'd kept my distance. Not just from her, but from Tom, from the messiness of their life. Maybe I'd been judging in my own way. The next day, I texted Tom, "We need to talk, just you and me." He didn't reply right away, but when he did, it was a simple, okay. We met at a dive bar, no Vanessa, no audience. He looked lighter, like he'd been holding his breath for years. He told me things I hadn't known: Vanessa's pressure to be perfect, her fear of losing control, the fights they had when no one was watching. She's not a monster, he said. She's just scared. Scared of not being enough. I didn't forgive her. Not really, but I understood a little. Fear makes people do ugly things. I told Tom I'd be there, no matter what, but he had to stand up to her, at least a little. He nodded, but I could see the doubt in his eyes. Change wouldn't come easy. Christmas came and went, and I didn't hear from Vanessa. No apology, no explanation. But Tom started texting more. Small things at first: a meme, a quick "you good," and I took it as a sign. Maybe he was finding his voice. Maybe we'd rebuild something, piece by piece. This story isn't about heroes or villains. It's about the messy, human ways we hurt each other, even when we're supposed to be family. Vanessa's dinner was a stage, her demand for me to kneel a script. But the real drama was what we all carried into that room: pride, fear, love, resentment. I'm still figuring out where I fit in this family, if I do at all. What do you think? Was Vanessa's demand for respect justified? Or was it a power grab? Can family dynamics ever be fair? Or are we all just playing roles? Share your thoughts. Let's talk about what's right, what's wrong, and what keeps us coming back to the table.